Past 2 months I have been using the Mac Mini M1, as my go-to daily driver. That's right, I've been using this for everything from casual, just surfing the internet, my professional job, which I do, so director in IT for a living, as well as creating content for you all here on the channel. I've been using this for 2 months. And so this is going to be a review of the culmination of those 2 months. But before we hop in the review, here's a word from our sponsor. I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Havoc Shield, who offers small business cybersecurity from plan to proof. And is it time to get serious about your small business cybersecurity? Havoc Shield standard plan includes penetration testing, endpoint security, dark web monitoring, and InfoSec policy templates. So go ahead and check out Havoc Shield. Their information is in the description below. The Mac Mini M1 has been taking the world by storm. Quite literally. There's videos all over YouTube of like, the Mac Mini, it's replacing my $15,000, my $20,000 Mac Pro, or my $50,000 Mac Pro. My Mac Mini, it's replaced everything in my whole house, and it does the dishes and everything. And you see people saying that, and then they're pushing it, and they're saying, oh yeah, it does all of this, and it does all of that, and it's so quick. Well, yeah, it is kind of quick, but it's got its problems too. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about the pros and the cons, and if I would recommend this machine. When looking at professional workloads like editing video, for example, or recording audio, whether that's through Logic or whatever, it does a really great job, especially with Final Cut. Final Cut, for example, on this machine runs fantastic. It is so quick. It is amazing how fast it really is. Very amazing. I mean, I can edit a 50-minute video on here in 1080p and share it in 10 minutes. I mean, I can't edit it in 10 minutes, but I can share it in 10 minutes. That's pretty wild, considering that the 2019 Mac Mini that I have with the i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and the eGPU dock, it would have taken probably 15, 20, maybe even longer to do that. Right? This thing has some serious horsepower when it comes to something like Final Cut Pro. And you can export it, like I said, in about 10 minutes for a 50-minute video. 4K footage is no problem. I mean, the timeline is it's smooth as butter. Adding transitions, working with the audio, it's just so quick. The imports are even quick as well. When you're importing all of your footage and your audio and everything into your timeline, it is quick as well. It is astounding how quick it really is. When you look at something like the Premiere Pro beta, which either will be on the channel or has already been on the channel, you're talking about like a 15-minute video with a lot of transitions and everything like that in it that's rendering in about 6.5 minutes. I mean, it's taking less than 50% of the video to render it. That's pretty awesome. That's really quick, especially when you're talking about something that's in beta. Working with Logic X and everything, it records audio really well. So that's pretty cool. The machine's snappy as well. It's not slow. It's very quick. When we start talking about daily use of this machine, it has its pros and cons. And what I mean by that is, yeah, it's great and it's cheap. It's $6.99 or whatever. But it has its issues, especially with the Rosetta emulator. There'll be times I'm using Chrome and it'll crash. There'll be times when my audio will stop. And the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi issues on this thing are awful. Like, there are times when the Bluetooth will just quit working altogether and you have to restart this machine. If you're using Bluetooth with it, guarantee yourself at least 1 to 2 times a week that you're going to have to restart the machine just to get your Bluetooth working. AirPods, trying to connect them to this, you might be lucky if you can get them to connect. It is the biggest headache trying to get Bluetooth devices to connect to this thing. I don't know what it is. about this machine. But it and Bluetooth go together like spaghetti and tuna fish. It just doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why that is. It has a lot of Wi-Fi issues as well. Most of the time I'll have to, disconnect Wi-Fi, start it back, turn off Wi-Fi, start it back, things like that. That'll typically fix it. Sometimes, you have to do a reset. And I don't know if you've ever seen this on yours, if you have one of these as well, is that if it goes to sleep, you've got about a 50-50 shot of whether it's going to wake back up again. If this thing goes to sleep on you, almost guarantee yourself that every other day you're going to have to do a reset on it. You are going to have to hold in the power button and reset it because it won't wake up from sleep. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a teenager or what, but it just will not wake up. And so for daily use, there are a lot of aggravating issues with this machine. A lot. And then when we start talking about developers, my IT bros, the code warriors out there, you're all right if you're iOS. If you are an iOS dev, you're going to enjoy using this machine if you can get past all the other quirks that I mentioned earlier. You're going to enjoy it because it's fast, it's quick, it's cheap. You can export, you can build stuff super quick in iOS or in Xcode. It's a dream. The emulator is super fast in Xcode as well. Like, it is awesome if you're doing iOS development. If you're doing Android development, though, let's say you're a React Native dev, or you work for a place that does both native iOS and native Android, but you want to have one system across the whole organization, like Macs, well, then you're not going to be able to do a whole lot. There is a preview currently for Android Emulator. Well, it's not even an Android emulator. It is an emulator of an Android device. You can install it. You have to start it up. It does have known issues. Google's working on it. It's in like preview 2 or whatever. And we're going to actually look at it here on the channel as well with this. And so there is that. So it is getting better. Also, if you use Docker, Docker is in preview currently on the M1 Max. It's got a lot of bugs though, like a lot. I got Docker installed and working, and installed an Ubuntu container and everything like that, and I was doing okay. But there are a lot of known bugs that they're working on currently. Things like Node, even like some of the Java SDKs, IntelliJ platforms, etc., have issues on the M1 Mac. So if you're a dev, right now is not the time to buy one of these unless you're an iOS developer. So those are kind of like the three main categories, right? You've got your content creators, you've got your daily use or your professionals, your daily use people who are going to use this for everything like email and web browsing, things of that nature. And you've got like your IT superstars, your DevOps guys, your coders and stuff like that. And so those are like, I would consider the three main groups. And whenever we start looking at those, you need to look at which group you fall in. I fall into all three, right? So I fall into someone who's going to use it for content creation. It's great. I fall into someone who's going to use it for daily use. It's cheap, and it does a really good job, except for when it has all the other aggravating issues, which are really, really, really annoying. And then I also fall into the developer or the IT superstar, the DevOps guy. That's what I do for a living, And so as long as I fall within the constraints that are able to be used on this machine, I'm good. But if I need to do anything outside of what this machine is capable to do currently due to the architecture, then I have to have another system. And so it's priced right at $699. I think that's the price. I don't even know. Don't quote me. The pricing is good. It's small. It takes up, not a whole lot of space. It does run, Mac OS. It has a lot of pros, but it also has a lot of cons. And also a con that I forgot to mention is this horrible I/O on the back of this thing. I was just looking at it and like, man, this I/O sucks. It's two USB 3s, which is kind of like Thunderbolt, but it's not because Thunderbolt's an Intel standard, but it has the same speed as Thunderbolt 4 or whatever. Two USB Type A's, an HDMI, Ethernet, and power, and a headphone. Like, that's it. I mean, you need at least like 12 dongles. No, hold on. I can do math here. You need 4 dongles to make this machine even work for you. You need 2 USB 3 Type A dongles or hubs or something. And then you need 2 USB 3 Type C hubs or dongles. I wonder if you could run 2 of like the cow digit docks with this. Now you're talking. That's like $500 worth of dock though. But you'd have a lot of connectivity. The connectivity is an issue as well. So, going back off of my tangent, when looking at this, you have to look at, does this fall within what you're going to use it for? Right now, this is early adopter syndrome. I mean, this is kind of like the early adopter problems, right? I mean, not kind of, but it is early adopter problems. There's not a whole lot of support unless it's iOS specific applications like Final Cut, Logic. Anything that Apple puts out is going to work fantastic on this. Fantastic. If that's what you do, buy it. Safari, great. If you're using it for daily use, but you want to use something like Chrome or Outlook, the Microsoft apps, things like that, expect some issues. If you're going to use Bluetooth, expect a ton of issues. Just a metric ton of issues. If you're going to use this for development, if you're an iOS dev, you're good to go, But if you do anything outside of that, you probably want to wait. Wait until they refine this architecture. At the end of the day, Apple has pulled an AMD, really. Ryzen 1st Gen wasn't the best, but it was like on the path to greatness, right? And now it is great. 3000 series was awesome. The mobile series, 4000 series, awesome. 5000 series, awesome. It was on the right path. I think that's really what we're going to see with this. Once this is adopted and like everything is running on this architecture and all the bugs have been worked out, you're going to have a really, really, really hard time being able to recommend any other machine for professionals than something of this caliber, right? So anything outside of like an M1, an Apple device, you're going to have a really hard time recommending it because the performance is going to be awesome once they get everything worked out. So, all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you think down below about this review. And if you agree with me, and let me know what your use case is. If you haven't already subscribed, because we're going to be looking at a lot of other stuff like Android Studio and Docker and stuff like that on these M1 chips. And of course, we're going to continue to look at new iterations of this machine. And we also do a lot of other cool stuff here on the channel. Listen, thank you all for watching. There's going to be like some dongles and junk listed down below. If you want to go buy some for this, you do. Trust me, you want to go and buy all of it. And then I will thank you and love you forever. But as always, have a great day and keep it real.